Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Let's start with a story in which our OP had to shame an employee for his rude behavior. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Berate a speechless toddler? This lie's for you. One of my kids was an extreme late talker. We've never known why, as she was evaluated several times and determined to be normal, just not talking yet. When she was 3, we were at a big box store that gives out samples and normally provides excellent customer service. However, the people who give out the samples work for another company, not the store. We both stepped up to receive a yummy treat, and as I always did, since my little one could not talk, I said aloud, "Thank you," and walked off. The sample lady did not take kindly to my toddler not mailing her an elaborate thank you note on expensive stationery with a wax seal of our family crest, because she leaned down into my little girl's face and boomed sarcastically, "You're welcome." My daughter, not being used to anyone speaking to her this way, showed no reaction, as I think she was totally puzzled by it, which worked perfectly for the evil plan that hatched into my usually moral brain. I turned back with a sweet tone and an apologetic smile and replied, "Oh, I'm sorry, she's deaf." Yes, that was so wrong of me. I know it. But was it petty? Yes. And was it revenge? Yes. I hope that cracker-doling harpy thinks twice before she scolds innocent kiddos without knowing anything about them. I guess I got the ultimate revenge too, because my daughter is now a teen and never stops talking. And our second story. You want the price I told you the first time? Done. I work at a family-owned video game store in a big shopping strip at the beach. We're 80% retro stuff, but we always take modern games and consoles because they move quick, especially these days. I'm working my Tuesday opening shift, going as slow as weekday mornings usually do, when one of my favorite regulars, an old gentleman that loves talking movies with me, and a woman, who I'll be referring to as Country Karen due to her accent, came into the store within a minute or so of each other. I say hi to the regular. Courtney Karen comes to the counter. I tell him I'll be back once I'm done. Regular goes to check out our Blu-ray trades from the weekend. Country Karen starts to explain she bought 2 Switch lights for her nephews, not realizing they already had a regular Switch in the house. Says the kids lost the receipt, entirely her own fault for giving it to kids, so she can't return it and wants to know what I can do for a cash trade-in. She seems a little frazzled, but I chalk it up to stress/annoyance at her situation, since she explained she just came in from being told no at Target. I take the Switch Lite and take it out of the box. It's about as factory new as it gets, with only a small tear on the box and a few kid-sized fingerprints on the screen I could wipe off. She says she just wants as much money back as she can get at this point. I pull up the trade sheet to double-check our trade rates. A Switch Lite retails for $200. We normally sell used ones at $180 and give $100 store credit, or $80 cash. Since the Switch Lite is basically factory new with box, I decide to give her a bit of a deal. Me. Well, normally Switch Lites only trade for $80 cash, but I can do $110 for this since it's a popular color and in really good condition with a box. What? That's so low. GameStop has a promotion and it'll give me $140 for it. Can't you do any better? Normally we try to beat GameStop's everything by at least 15%, but being corporate with more employees and less stock per store, they can get specials and promotions done we can't. Plus, we can only match them on trade value for newer consoles due to the little profit we turn taking them at GameStop's prices. I explain this to Country Karen, and she goes from frazzled and a little impatient to, well, a Country Karen. Wow, I thought you guys would be better than GameStop since you're a small business, but if you're going to nickel and dime me, I'll just go to them from now on. I audibly scoff at the woman's rudeness and tell her good luck. Perk of working family-owned, I don't have to lie down and take crappy behavior. She gives me a nasty look, takes her Switch Lite back, and leaves the store. There's a couple in line behind her with a bag or 2 of game trades each by this point, so once she's gone, I start helping them. Regular brings up a few of our movie trades. All 4 of us start talking movies while I get the games done. Mornings on weekdays usually aren't too bad, but for some reason, I had a huge line of nothing but boxes of trade-ins per person come in while I was helping the first 2 guys out, and I was the only employee in the store that day. I finish the second person's trade and excuse myself from the movie talk to focus on powering through the new line of people. I'm about halfway done with the second box, absolute goldmine titles, SNES and Nintendo 64 games, when Country Karen returns looking very unhappy. I put on my best customer service smile and say, "Welcome back." She ignores me, cuts past the rest of the line. "I need to trade this now. I have to pick my nephews up from daycare and need the gas money. GameStop said their promotion's over." Sorry to hear that, but I've got other customers I'm helping right now. You'll have to get in line. "I said I need to trade this now. They're out soon and all this running around's gonna make me late as it is." I look at the gentleman I'm helping, who shrugs and says he doesn't mind, and at the other 4 people in line with boxes or bags of trades in hand, patiently waiting their turns. The next person in line is watching and giving Country Karen the audacity of this bee face I've ever seen. Since it's one item and normally only takes a minute, I tell Country Karen, fine, I'll ring her through quick. I suspend the current trade, take the light, double-check it, and add it to the system and ask Country Karen for her ID, which she loudly sighs about and takes a minute digging through her purse to find. Next guy in line definitely isn't happy with her attitude, makes a comment to the woman he's with that Country Karen and I can't make out. Karen finally finds her ID and hands it over. I enter her info into our customer database, up the trade of the Switch Lite to 110, and tell her the total. Much to my surprise, she balks as if I've just peed in her morning macchiato, and indignantly states, "You told me $139.99 earlier. I want the money you said you'd get the first time I came in here." "No, ma'am, I said 110 because it's..." "No, you told me $139.99. I want the money you said I'd get the first time, or there's going to be an issue." That's bullcrap, since every single trade in our store rounds to the whole dollar amount. But Country Karen keeps insisting I told her what I'm assuming was the GameStop promotional trade price. At this point, both I and the next guy in line are done with Country Karen. He loudly sighs and says, "Come on, man." But Country Karen either can't hear him or doesn't care. I, on the other hand, give Country Karen another winning service smile. "Sure, your trade will be $80 cash then." I can see the few brain cells left in Country Karen's wino head trying to process how the value has gone down instead of up. "That's less. I want the money." At this point, she's yelling in the store, so I use my 8+ years of singing bass in church chorus to talk over her without sounding like I'm yelling back. "I told you normally Switch Lites trade for $80 cash, but that I'd cut you a deal for $110. If you want the amount I told you the first time, that's $80. My regular and one of the first 2 trades are still near the till. They both pipe up to support me and say I did in fact give her those numbers. Country Karen, red in the face and realizing her mistake, starts to backpedal. "God, fine. Just give me the 110 so I can leave already." "No, ma'am. You were very firm about wanting the first amount, so it'll be $80 cash for the trade." Country Karen looks like she's about to explode before she checks the time on her phone and deflates. "Just give me the effing money." "Absolutely." I ring out the transaction for $80, make her sign the receipt saying she agrees to the trade, then loudly count out $80 cash in 20s for her, which she snatches off the counter and storms out of the store with. While the next guy in line is bent over the box of games in his arms, laughing his butt off. And our last story. Negative attitude not needed. I used to work as a manager for a construction company that primarily took jobs in the public sector. Think government sites, universities, police buildings, etc. The owners were cheap, like to a fault. I had previously pointed out some issues with using certain materials that were subpar or weren't standard for our job so that the owners could beef up their profit margin. I was told to be more of a team player and was basically shuffled off to the other small dead-end jobs. I continued pointing out issues on jobs and eventually was let go and told, take my negative attitude somewhere else. So I did. Well, before my departure, during my last month, I was working in the office and noticed the company had put all their eggs into one basket and were bidding on multiple jobs at a university campus nearby. Shortly after I was let go, a manager whom I used to work with, who now worked for that particular university, got in contact with me and offered me a job as a construction compliance officer. Part of my job was to rewrite their very old and outdated construction specifications. I rewrote them all and made sure to include very precise wording as this was considered a legal document as they were part of the tender contract. As you can guess, these specifications were included in all contracts going forward, including the 5 that were awarded to my previous employer. Being a compliance officer, I'm not involved in the tender, bidding, or awarding process for contracts, so they had no idea I was watching their projects. Fast forward 6 months, and I've been by their sites, all of them, and they have continued to use their shortcuts and subpar materials, but this time they were in violation of their contract. We had a progress meeting over Zoom for one of their jobs, and I sat quietly with my video off until the point at which I was asked for my report. Their faces were priceless when I turned my video on and introduced myself. I outlined in detail all of their shortcuts and deficiencies. The project manager, who was one of the ones that had a hand in my firing, argued that there were no issues with them using these materials or methods, and that's how we've always done it, which was a perfect answer. I had their contract and had highlighted the part outlining the compliance with our own specifications as code. There was also a clause included stating that if they didn't comply, they would not be paid their final 20% of the contract, which was basically their entire profit margin. Also, since they'd said that was how they always did their work, we investigated all their sites and had them remove all their materials that were in violation of the contract and fix the deficiencies at their cost. Fallout. Someone that I keep in contact with at that company told me that they ended up losing money overall on all their jobs with us, and they ended up firing the entire management team, including the project manager that had a hand in my firing. Although I don't like to see people lose their livelihoods, these people should never have been in their positions. Sometimes you just have to take your negative attitude somewhere it's appreciated. Boy, did you take your attitude elsewhere. You took it exactly where it needed to be. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.